Hello and welcome to another episode of the Marcus Allen Frishman live stream, weekly live stream. And I was having a great banter, just a great chat with Marcus before we went to air. And I must say, I was telling Marcus that my financial situation, it's not dire, but YouTube is not bringing in the money that it used to do. And obviously, Marcus, we know about what happened when you were desperate for money there. Hire cars and all. We've learned some. I definitely will not be hiring BMWs if I.
Well, look, the sentence was suspended and then ultimately dismissed. It was never a felony. It was a misdemeanor. It was joyriding, but I wore it as a badge of honor. I was living in college. I made a bad decision by not paying a rent-a-car, essentially. But that's my story. I'm Marcus Frishman. You're not, but we can proceed anyway.
I got to tell you, I was talking to you before. I told you the YouTube business has gotten tougher. And we were also talking politics. We were great talking politics there. And Marcus you met Reagan number of times.
Many times.
Tell me this, did you ever meet my hero in American politics is Richard Nixon?
A bit before my time, in the sense that I was very young. Let's guess my age: 6, 7, 5, 8, something like that. I wrote him a letter, and that letter, I don't have my letter, but his response with a picture and a letter on White House stationery is in my garage.
What did he say?
Yeah, well, it was thank you for your correspondence. He actually signed it himself, because back then they had two kinds of letters. The one the staff signs, and then the one the president signs. So this is an actual president letter, and it was on beautiful, beautiful old style parchment with actually engraving, real engraving, not raised letters like they do now due to the budget deficits.
So tell me this. The presidents you met there, you've met Reagan, you've said?
Yes.
I actually read Reagan's, there's a biography, one of the biographies I read about Reagan, and I kind of am rather fond of him. People kind of laugh at him and say, oh, he was an actor, he was this, but he actually had a deep interest. He used to do the General Electric show. And Reagan was originally a Democrat. He was a Democrat. And then
he said the party left him. He didn't leave the party. And he became California governor. And I have two quick stories. You interrupt me if they're too long.
Please.
But I'll tell you them. So when I was 17 years old, I was approached by a bunch of people because I had been involved in politics since I was 14. I went to everything. I was just one of these kids that showed up, and I volunteered on presidential campaigns. I became a youth coordinator to the president of the United States. I did a lot of things at 14, but at some point I was approached by a group of people very local to Los Angeles, and they said, there is an office you ought to run for. Let's get back to Reagan in a moment. There's an office you ought to run for. It's called the West Los Angeles County Resource Conservation District. Its name is a misnomer. It's very powerful. They do a lot of things beyond what their name implies. You ought to run. I said, well, I'm not 18 yet. Well, you can run at 17. You just can't take the oath of office or serve till you're 18. But based on my birthday, okay. So they put together a bunch of money. I ran. Now, the brochure reads, it's a picture of Ronald Reagan, not me. I'm not pictured on it. A 17-year-old boy does not get pictured on his campaign for the single largest physical representation. It's a larger district than any congressional district in the country. It's larger than one gubernatorial seat. It is a massive elected office. It's very large geographically. It's greater Los Angeles County, which is beyond LA. And I ran. Ronald Reagan's picture was put on the brochure that went out by mail and other means. and it said, what was Ronald Reagan elected to before he was governor? No one knew this. I didn't know it. It was elected to the Resource Conservation District, and he served the 4-year term. And then it said how important this job is for both the person running and also the duties. And I got elected first place out of 14 candidates. I was honored as the youngest official in California ever. And I was so young, I doubt anyone could beat the record by being 18, because I had to hide out until the swearing-in ceremony, which I had to postpone because of my birthday in July. We had June primaries. So that's my story of Ronald Reagan connection. And then later, of course, I worked for Ronald Reagan for one day in the White House. I gave it up to Selena Jackson. Selena Jackson became an intern at the White House. This was a White House internship when I studied back in Washington, D.C. with a group of USC students, University of Southern California students. So what happens? I go back to LA and become a appointee of a county supervisor after I graduated, or at the time of near graduation. And what did Selena do? When the president left, because that was the last year of Reagan's term, Selena gets appointed chief of staff of the president of the United States as he retires to Los Angeles. And anyone that knows former presidents have an office. They go in daily and they have a job. And he did that for 10 years. Selena Jackson went from intern to chief of staff. And then when Reagan fully retired due to the Alzheimer illness about 10 years after his term, she got appointed to the World Bank as a prestigious position, I think vice president, and only recently has retired, as I understand, to Virginia. So there's a missed path for me. And I remember her calling me, Marcus, I'm coming to Los Angeles. Oh, well, she's from Lawrence, Kansas, and she was working in the White House. And I said, well, what are you getting, a job? She said, yes, I'm chief of staff to the president. There's a great story, which I won't tell here, as to how do you become chief of staff, having served as his intern all the way up at the top, and what about all the other people that could have been chief of staff? There's a story to that. It's interesting, but I won't tell it now. Thought you'd like to hear it. Selena Jackson, you can look her up. She's essentially a public figure.
I want to ask you something, Marcus, as I consider you to be a dear friend.
Thank you, Archie.
I am going through some financial troubles. Well, I'm not actually. Look, what is happening is money is tighter, and I want to reduce my collection to build a war chest. Okay?
Oh.
Now, my question is this. Do I get rid of the gold pieces, or do I get rid of the steel pieces? Now, I would like to keep everything. But I'm thinking, for example, the 3 Breguets, I'd really like to keep them. I'd like the World Time. The Speedmaster in steel has to stay because that was a gift after the burglary. But the steel pieces I would sell, the Zenith, the Explorer 2, the Bluesy.
I disagree. First of all, let me advise you, I'm not a financial advisor. And I could play the scene of Chevy Chase in the movie when the uncle says to, when his brother or uncle says to him, "I'm running a little low on cash," and Chevy goes to the wallet. I won't do that here. What I'll do is suggest you keep one of the gold pieces, and I think it's the World Time, because it is a premier piece by all standards. You know this better than me. You are the pontiff, but sometimes when we know it all, we forget it when we think of ourselves because of the factors that affect us. So I'm saying that is your premier piece. You must keep it. Then these other pieces, the stainless steel pieces in the first row, you shouldn't sell any of them. And if you had to, that may be the Zenith, but they're so critical to a basic luxury collection, you can't give them up. So I say do your hoarding of money incrementally. Don't do it all at once, and sell the other 3 gold pieces, which I know you love, and they are probably your favorite. But from a snob appeal point of view, the average rich luxury person who's not into watches don't know what the hell they are. I'm not sure they know what the hell the world time is, but that one you just can't give up. So I'd say you keep these Rolexes, you keep the Zenith, you got to keep the Omega, although I would say you got to keep it anyway, and I know how much you love that watch. So that's my recommendation. Do it incrementally, get rid of 3 of them, the 3 golds, and keep the world time.
Thank you for the advice there. I'm actually going to be taking a couple weeks off to go through my accounting, take some photos, and just work out what I do want to do. But I do appreciate your advice there. I wanted to ask you something there. And let's explore this. How is Miss Twinkle going? Do you stay in touch with Miss Twinkle?
It is Miss Winkle. Oh, yes. Well, wait. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. It is Miss Winkle. There she is in her current photo, more recent than others. And she is in Florida doing fine in her job. She loves it there.
Do you visit her much?
I haven't lately, but I will. She's been transferred from Los Angeles to Florida, and she came here not so much for me, but more for her job. But that's exactly why we didn't marry after the first 4 years.
What did you do, Marcus, when you ran short on cash in your life?
I've only run short of cash twice, Archie. Once was 1991 when my parents cut me off of support, and a lot collapsed. My car broke. I rented a car, then didn't pay it, then got in trouble for the joyriding statute of keeping a rented car without paying it. Then I was evicted from my student housing because I was a student at University of Southern California back then. My income went to 0 and my expenses were massive. So what I did, I filed bankruptcy at a young age, got rid of all of that. I didn't really have debt, Archie. I had bills. I was able to pay those bills until I was cut off without notice by the family. Then I got a job. I got a job at a dating service, and I was there for 1.5 years until my.
That's an incredible. You have had the most incredible jobs I have ever heard of. You were
service job at Great Expectations, where I put people together as a consultant to relationships, and I was the videographer. I didn't have skill in videography, but they let me do it.
Why didn't they pay you more? Why didn't they pay you more for what you did?
What was that?
Why didn't they pay you more?
Well, it was a low-level job at a dating service. I believe I got paid $12, $13, $14 an hour.
Why didn't you find the wealthy woman of your dreams and live happily ever after? Can I ask you that?
Interesting you say that. So before I began college, I was trained as a certified nurse, and I was originally volunteer at the Motion Picture Health and Welfare Fund in Calabasas, California. That's a hospital for movie stars. I became a nurse only because I was volunteering there, and they said, take this class, become a certified nurse. I did decubitus care for a few years.
You weren't a registered nurse, were you? You weren't a registered nurse. You were certified.
Far too high of a level of training. It's called a certified nurse, and you're certified. You take some training, and you do minimal things. But the point is, I met a lady named Adrienne Kelly, an older woman. Back then, she must have been in her 70s.
Yes.
And good old Adrienne Kelly was the wife of Bert Kelly. I believe Adrienne may have been either a runner-up or a Miss America in the 20s, as I recall the story from her. We befriended. She left me her entire estate as she was dying multiple years later. She died on Thanksgiving years later. She left me everything. However, the attorney didn't finish processing the will. So I had to make a choice whether we would challenge it or not. And a distant cousin, as Mrs. Kelly, and I don't want to get too emotional because I really loved this woman. Mrs. Kelly said to me on her deathbed, the vultures are circling, get the attorney. And I did, and she died, and I didn't get anything. I wrote a letter to this distant cousin that had never seen her in decades. And I said, look, I loved this woman, not romantically, but I just loved this woman, Mrs. Kelly. Do you think you could, and she had a significant estate, with a home in Hollywood, cash, gifts, all sorts of things. I said to this distant cousin through my attorney at one point, and then just me initially, I'd like to have her AK ring. She had a beautiful white gold or platinum AK with her initials, and she had a beautiful watch. I loved watches back then. Her husband gave it to her. It was a pocket watch, of all things, a man's pocket watch. And I'd like to have some pictures. They would not answer me. And I had my attorney approach them. They were lucky I didn't take them to court, because I had established such a significantly documented relationship with her, and the attorney notes regarding her intent to give her entire estate to me. So I didn't challenge it. I walked away because I said, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to get into that battle with them. And they took everything, these greedy people. I took nothing.
I see.
Rest in peace, Mrs. Kelly. But I met her at that hospital because she would visit her husband every day. And I worked there 3 years, first as a volunteer, then as a certified nurse. This is all before college.
What did you like about her most?
Her elegance. She had, I should point out, we became so close of friends that my group of friends at college knew her. And I used to do what was called, because I'm cheap, I used to do something called the no-host dinner classics. It's where I'd get a famous chef to come to USC. I'm going to tie this into your question. And I'd use President Zumberg. That was the president of the university's private dining room. He granted it to me. I would use the dining room and invite Mrs. Kelly to come. She was the only woman allowed beside my date, because my rules were, if I didn't invite them, they couldn't come. I invited my male friends. They come to the no-host dinner classic. They had to pay me. I paid the chef. It wasn't free. And they all met Mrs. Kelly over the years that I had put on these dinner parties in college at the president's dining room. And she became very close with my friends. But to answer specifically your question, it was the way she was. She taught me how to be a classy person. You could write a book on that. That's not a simple subject, Archie. Being a classy person, I have not perfected it. That should be clear. But she did try to teach me how to be classy. And remember, she's from 1922, and the 30s and the 40s, those were her years. So she taught me these special qualities, and I've tried to encompass them in my life.
Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
She actually, during my Regal debacle in 1991, when I was cut off from my family, she offered to provide support for me. And this is what triggered the thought, because you asked me, have I ever thought about finding a rich older woman? I did, and she offered, and all I accepted from her, to my memory, and she offered to foot the entire bill of my apartment and everything that I was cut off from on my parents. I rejected it and said, Mrs. Kelly, can you just keep my cell phone on? I had a cell phone in 1990, and I have the same number. I've never changed my number. I don't know anyone that's had a cell phone that long. I was in college then. And so she paid my cell phone bill, because without that, I couldn't get a job. I couldn't do things as easily. So that was it. Within a year, I had found a job. I had supported myself. I had moved into a guest house at a friend's. And then within another year, I got a career job that paid me nearly 6 figures. So I was okay.
I must say, Marcus, I think she's done an excellent job with you.
I have a picture of her. I'd love to show it to you. It's always hard to find a picture amongst 18,000 pictures, but I'll find one and I'll bring it up.
Please do. I think, that story there, that's a touching
Adrienne
story.
Kelly, yeah, wife of Bert Kelly, who was a famous producer. I'm forgetting, Universal, Paramount, whatever it was. He was a great man too. When he died, I'll end with this. When he died, I was told by the nursing staff that he swear to you. This is so unusual. I have to swear. It's true. Well, I don't know if it's true. I was told what happened. from the nurses. Marcus, when he died, there was a code on him. There was a code. She wanted to keep him alive. You know what a code is. They come in with all the doctors, try to revive you. They could not. His last words, Mr. Bert Kelly, the Motion Picture Television Fund Hospital, now called Health and Welfare Fund, he said, Adrienne, Marcus, and then died.
He, Bert Kelly himself there, he was a famous American film producer and writer. Yes, Adrienne Dorr was her she actually, I have a photo of her. I found her.
She was
Can I
beautiful
bring it up?
in her youth. Yeah, bring it up. Bring it up.
Okay, I'm going to bring it.
I don't know that I actually ever looked. I looked him up, but I don't know that I've ever seen a published picture of her other than the ones I have. I have her letters. She would write me beautiful letters. Again, this wasn't romantic. She had no family. She had no children. They had no children. And she only had one relative, a distant cousin that, according to her, she hadn't seen in 30 years at her death. And that's who got her entire estate. The attorney told me, Marcus, she left everything for you. I'm violating attorney-client privilege. I have the notes. So if you want to challenge this, let's do it. And I said,
that's what she looked like.
I've never seen that picture. Unbelievable. She was
your phone ringing. You can take that call if you might.
No. Oh, what the hell is that? That's not a call. That's I'm sorry, Archie. I should have been prepared for this. You can see you're the pontiff. I'm not. Okay. Let me turn that all off. God Almighty, everything's on. I have multiple electronics here. Okay, so let's turn off all things. So I'm impressed. Now, when I worked at that place, on the wing of that same K wing at the hospital there, the K called K wing, there was the secretary of Walt Disney. I took care of her.
Yep.
I took care of Abraham Sofer, another very famous actor, big nose, Jewish man. He played Egyptians, I think, because of his look. And I'm trying to remember the rest. A number of stars. And there's a man I didn't take care of, but he was there on another part of the hospital. And it was one of the Three Stooges, Larry of the Three Stooges. And that's why I volunteered there, because I would visit these movie stars as visitors just to keep them company. I enjoyed that. After a year of that, they said someone on staff at the hospital named Sherry, an RN, said, you should take this class, Marcus. It will take a few months. You can take your test. You can become a certified nurse. And instead of just showing up here and visiting the patients, you can actually get paid and do something worthwhile with your life. Okay. I was 19. This was pre-college. I never intended to enter the field of medicine. It was just something for fun. And I was in no rush to go to college. Yeah, that's Absolutely. Her. This is Adrienne Kelly. And she would come to my dinner parties called the No Host Dinner Classics, where I made people pay for the famous chef that was brought in. And we'd use the President Zumber.
How did she arrive? Did you pick her up, or how did she get to these events?
She drove herself generally, but I picked her up for that.
What sort of car did she drive?
Oh, a terribly old station wagon, but one that was special in that I'm doing this by memory now. I didn't know I have to remember this. It was gold, like my father's Cadillac, and it was kind of fancy. And it was really old, but it looked like new, and that's what was her primary vehicle. She had a house she lived in a, Archie, who is the Frank Lloyd Wright? She had a house designed by Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh my God.
Hollywood Hills, a very small home, but a very significant neighborhood in Los Angeles, right off Sunset Boulevard, about 2 blocks up one street. I think I'm gonna be risky here because someone's gonna look it up. I think it was called Miller Drive, and I think it's at Sunset and Miller, and then 2 blocks up. I'm forgetting the name of the street, but if I'm correct, it's Miller Drive. And she had this beautiful little home that would have been mine had the signature occurred on the will. Anyway, whatever. I didn't challenge it. The nasty people would never give me pictures of her. I asked for a few tokens, trinkets to remember her. Anyway, yeah, she was something. Adrienne Kelly. But no, we weren't romantic, of course. She loved Bert. She would never remarry, and she lived a wonderful life till the end. And the end came suddenly. She was hospitalized only for a short time before she died. She was fully taking care of herself in her home on her own until she wasn't. Where, in fact, Bert Kelly was hindered by a stroke and put into that facility and was there for years.
What did she teach you about class? You told me she taught you about class. Tell me some lessons we can share with the Philistines in the audience. The Philistines, they're heathens.
Well, I can tell you about some of the stuff I didn't listen to her on. She told me to be quieter. She told me I was always too loud in restaurants and in public places. She told me that I'm moving around a lot, but she told me I'm hunching over a lot and looking at my feet, to hold my head up, to hold my head tall. She told me to be bold and wear colors. So I wear a lot of, I like colorful things. This isn't too colorful. This is called Black Watch.
Did you ever sleep with her?
No. We may have hugged at the most. There wasn't even a cheek kiss. There's no physical attraction here. This was not a romantic thing. She was in her, at the earliest, Archie, you'll tell me, but because you have her on, you're online, but at the earliest, she was in her 70s and she died in her 80s. Or does it say that there?
What year were you working there?
Okay, so I began college in 84, so it would be pre-84. I was in college for 5.5 years. It would have been pre-84, and I would say it was pretty quickly before pre-84. So I'm going to guess, she died. Oh, well, wait. You asked when I worked there, not when she died. I worked there just pre-84, maybe 83, 82, and 81.
Oh, she was 76. She was 76.
Okay, and then she lived. Let's come up with a date for her death. Oh, it probably says, but let's see if my memory's right.
83. She died. Actually, sorry, her spouse died in 83.
Yeah, no, that sounds right.
He died in 92.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say the 90s, and I think it was pre me buying my Calabasas residence. And I bought that in 93 or 94. So yeah, that makes sense. She died in 92. Sure. And I went to her. I was the only one, me and my girlfriend, Belinda Delgado, of 14 years. We were the only ones that attended her service. Me and my girlfriend of 14 years. And it was a very sad moment. There was a dear friend of mine named Creighton Francis Filatico, who is the producer of the movie I was in called Malibu Beach Vampires. You can look that up too.
Yes, I know this. I know.
We'll talk about that another time maybe. But the point is, Creighton Francis Filatico, who put me in a movie, his terrible movie, and you'll understand why I said that, it's being polite. And he created my persona to be a model, and I was a professional model for 2 years. And there was some overlapping of the model time and the nursing time. But the point is, he was her friend through my dinners. He got very close to her, and so he was unable to attend that service. I remember it was a very sad day. And Francis Creighton, one day in the late 90s, early 2000s. Didn't show up to a fundraiser I was hosting. He was supposed to be there. He was a contributor. He died that day on the way to the fundraiser. Rest his soul too. He was a young man, too young to die. His real name was Creighton Francis Filatico, but he wanted to be called Francis Creighton. He lived in Hidden Hills. His brother still owns the home, and I'm in touch with his family. He was the producer of the movie Malibu Beach Vampires, with the famous star Angeline and Frankie Valli, but I was the star of that show, and yes. I was playing a congressman called Congressman Upstark. And I would get bit by I got bit by by some monster, and that had truth serum. So I was a politician that always told the truth. It was very fun.
Interesting stuff there. I've got to ask you something. What? So she wasn't into cars. There was no fancy cars with this lady.
I'll tell you what she was into, because
Yes.
I used to carry them and bring them back and forth from the hospital.
Yes.
After I left. She had Louis Vuitton bags and trunks, beautiful Louis Vuitton trunks. And when I say bags, they weren't bags. Pardon me. They were all hard luggage and trunks with handles. And they were like new, and they were beautiful. She collected antique furniture. And I remember in one of my luxury rent-a-cars, I remember renting a vehicle, picking her up and taking her into South Orange County, California, I think Newport Beach, visiting very upscale antique stores to get a price on some of her pieces. And I was astounded, because I have pieces like that, but they're called copies. And you pay, you might pay $6,000-7,000 for an armoire like I have. But that exact armoire in its original would be $200,000 or $300,000. And she had those, and we would get them priced out. The thing about Mrs. Kelly is she was a hoarder. I would walk through her house, and there was clutter. It was all very nice clutter, but it was clutter.
Understand. Very interesting. She wasn't into cars.
No. Well, she liked my cars. She liked she except for the Jeep. I remember one day I showed up with a Jeep Wrangler, and I rented these things out of Beverly Hills Exotic Cars, and I showed up, and we were bouncing all over she hated that. She said, "Don't bring that car again to my house." Okay, Mrs. Kelly, I'm so sorry.
And was she into, what sort of watch did she have? Any brand name watch?
I wasn't a watch collector. I told you I got my first watch at graduation '91, my first real watch.
What did she think of Cartier?
Yeah, my Cartier Santos 18 karat gold. I can't, and I wore that until 2005, when then I bought my first Rolex and just kept buying watches to the point that I don't know how many I have. I say I have 100. I could have less or more. But I was noticing some guys, he doesn't have 100 watches. I mean, it's amazing what people just say. I just don't understand it. Nobody takes you at your word anymore. They just doubt everything. It's funny how people doubt the truth from you when you talk and you tell the truth and you're the direct source, but they believe third-party sketchy information over what you say. And I know you're a master in understanding this, because you just have to look at your comments going, well, where did they get this information?
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying there.
And sometimes they even cite you as the actual source of it. Look what he said. Look what he did. But you never did that. You never said that.
No, that's look, you're very right about that. It is disappointing. But tell me this, Marcus, we've got no super chats today. What the fuck is wrong?
Maybe there's nobody here. Oh, there are people here, I guess. I don't look at the comments. I know most viewers don't comment, but I don't even look at the comments till the end. And then I copy the good ones, and Archie, I send them to you and one buddy of mine who loves to read the nonsense. Some of it's nonsense. Some of it's very, very kind. One gentleman last week said,
Tell me this, Marcus. Yeah. What would you do if you suddenly woke up tomorrow and you discovered that you had no more money? It was all gone. What would you do?
The first thing? Oh, I think I know why you're asking. I think it just triggered me. I would sell my watch collection. I would.
You would keep the Porsche? You would keep the Porsche?
I'd have to, because I need a car. Certainly it would be on my mind, but the watches would be easy to unload. They're highly valuable. And even my throwaway watches, I have a few name brand. When I say throwaway, they're name brands, they're worth pennies, but I have so many of them, I would get something out of that too.
Tell me this, if there is one person you could have a conversation with who's died, Who would that be?
Somebody who's dead and gone,
Yes.
huh?
Yes.
Adolf Hitler.
You wouldn't want Adrienne Kelly?
No, I'll catch up with that because I'm a believer. I'm a believer in God, and I follow God, and I pray every day, and I mostly pray to thank God, and I pray to.
Why would you want to talk to Adolf Hitler?
Oh, okay, so I pointed out I'm religious. The reason is because he won't be where I'm going, and I have a few questions for him. I won't be able to. You've asked me. It's a magical question. If I could see, I'm going to see a lot of people in heaven, Archie. There are going to be a lot of people with me in heaven, but one of them ain't Adolf Hitler, and that would be the first. There's a few others, and those people would not likely be accompanying me in heaven.
Do you believe in purgatory?
I don't. Well, I believe there are people that believe in it. I'm not sure I know. I don't have faith in that direction, let's just say.
So, you know, purgatory is hell, there's heaven, there's purgatory. No, okay.
I think the Mormons have a strong belief in levels. Although I took Mormon lessons as a child.
You know, Marcus, I made a video about heaven, you know, about the afterlife.
You did? I must have missed that.
Yeah. And what I said in this, it's actually a series, 3-part series, Marcus. And nobody got the comedy in it, but I basically said there's the heaven itself. Everyone's happy and they hum around, but there's no real competitiveness. I tried to make it a bit of a I will find you.
Can you send those? I would love. I'll put them on my Facebook wall for what that's worth. I have some good 4,000 friends. I'm not being followed by people there, but you know, I have friends there. I would love that. Archie, can I show you three quick watches, just very quick?
Sure.
Eventually, I'll get my 100 watches through here. I've showed you all of my top line watches, but I want to show you a watch you don't care much for. And I saw it on a client of mine.
So I had a series, Marcus.
Yeah.
It was called the What Happens After You Die, a 3-part series on the meaning of life.
You're going to send it to me. How long ago was this?
I am sending this to you on Facebook Messenger.
All right.
I'll send you the 3 parts, okay? Because that way there you will definitely have them all. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you. No, I will watch them and give you a review.
This was made 5 years ago, Marcus. 5 years ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, where are the
5
super
years
chats?
ago.
Oh, I'm getting them. You're hearing the ding because it overrides my silence.
This never really did that well. It never really did that well.
Well, I'm gonna see what it's like.
Yeah, put it this way, to put it into perspective, it's no worse than that dreadful vampire movie that you were in.
You know, you should read, if you want real entertainment, read the reviews of the movie when you go to the page that it's talked about. I forget what they call that page. There's an initial for movies, IEBD, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Archie, a watch you would not like.
Oh, a quorum bubble.
A bubble, the big one, and rubber strap, beautiful clasp. I love this watch. I get compliments on this watch, Archie. I bought it because a client of mine had a ladies' version on leather, and I saw it at lunch when she was paying me, and I thought, I've got to have one of those. She says, I'll get you one. She never did. I bought it myself. It is I think it's beautiful, the Quorum watch. I have a friend that dated him and called him, the owner of Quorum, some old guy that looked like a skeleton. She called him Skeletor. She was in her 20s. He's very old. I think he's probably dead by now. God bless him. But the point is, he was old looking when he wasn't old, and she called him Skeletor. She's probably
just 1 minute. I just got to catch up on a super chat. This is from Casper, $10. Paul, you used to care so much about flexing. How much do you care about this today? as compared to when you're in your 30s? So let me answer that there. Look, flexing. Flexing is, I like quality things. I suppose less flexing, more like I like breguet. Most people wouldn't even know what the fuck a breguet
Right.
is.
Right.
So less important as we age. Marcus, do you still the need to be the center of attention? Of course he does.
Yes, of course that does. And as I like to say,
And you said to me, one of Marcus's life quotes is, what was the life quote? Give me the life quote from your mother.
Oh, it's better to be loved than to be right. But what I have to say,
but she said, always be boastful. What did she say?
Yeah. Oh, the boastful comment. My mother taught me to be boastful. She said, if you don't boast, if you don't tell people what's great about you and exaggerate it, no one will know, and you may not accomplish things in your life in the avenues for. You want a woman, you tell her why you're great. You want a job, you tell them why you're great. You do it, and you'll be bold. And you just don't show up in some jalopy. You rent a Rolls Royce if you have to, and you make an entrance. You wear colorful outfits. You be bold. You don't have a pen in your pocket. You wear the fancy pen. It's part of your clothing. This is my ballpoint, and this is my beautiful.
Oh, that's a Montegrappa. That's a Montegrappa.
Both Montegrappas. One, of course, is engraved Sir Chief Math, but one's a pen.
I didn't know you were a Montegrappa man.
Oh, I think Montegrappa actually may be the beautiful pen. But I have my trusty 1970s big red Parker right at my table. But I got to tell, and ready for this number? I may have 200 fountain pens. I should bring them up. And I did a post on my Facebook, Archie, with at least one of the carriers. Here's another beautiful watch. Let's take a look. So this is a Bremont. This is their original first Bremont, where they gave out 7,000.
What made you buy a Bremont? That's a brand I really can't stand. What made you buy one of these?
These guys are ridiculously idiots. It is the only watch that has ever failed on me that I had to send back for repair, and they pushed back on the repair. The Bremont rep in United States, who worked through a San Francisco brick and mortar Topper Jewelers, who was fabulous in California. Topper, that's my good friends there. But they are, anyway. I don't know. I wanted it. It was about it's so overpriced at the time. I'm going to give you the year 2011 or 12. I believe it was the first watch they made, and their gimmick is. This is the watch named after the seat on the F-1 jets that explode and let you escape the jet when you So it's called I don't even remember what it's called, but I think it has a nice look. It was about $6,500.
We got another super chat, GB20 Mex. Thank you, GB. And not Sir Walter, $2. A dog with fleas. I should know one.
Well, hold on a minute. Sir Walter died in 2019. Sir Walter was a male dog. I'm sorry, a female dog that had certain gender confusions. So I named him Sir Walter. My current dog is named Mr. Bueller, and he in fact is a boy. Sir Walter was a girl, and she died of a disease. But Mr. Bueller, who is here and in the picture that advertises this show, is alive and well and had his birthday last month.
When do you think you'll marry Miss Winkle?
Well, I think when she's ready to begin to come home and be at home every day instead of doing this job that keeps her away.
Have you discussed marriage with Miss Winkle?
Well, I was engaged to Miss Winkle for 4 years. And as you remember the story, on the day we broke, she wanted to marry me. She wanted to be together with me as I did her, and we lived together, but we had to break. Here's a picture that occurs right around the time we broke. The first time after 4 years together, because she would not move from the Philippines and live in America. Then about 3 or 4 years pass, and she reaches out to me with one text, having not spoken with her for years. And she said, because I just got out of another relationship, and she just said, Marcus, Math, she calls me Math, I'm be in LA tomorrow. Let's meet, let's reconsider. So I did, and we did. Here's another beautiful watch. Look at this one, Archie. This is a Casio, but this is a $3,500 Casio. This Casio, it is battery operated, quartz operated, but it has about 7,800 stars on it, on the screen. They're carefully placed in the proper location. And if you put the battery in and have the factory reset it, it actually will display the night sky as it should be seen within the Northern Hemisphere. I bought this watch years ago. I never, ever really wore it. As you can see, it's like new, not a scratch. But it's in the drawer, in the vault. Casio.
Wow, that's incredible. I got to tell you there, what made you buy the Casio? Tell me this.
I bought it from a local Arizona store in Arizona, California, and I just liked it because I am an astronomy lover. My high school teacher, Mrs. Harrington, thought I would be an astronomer. I've always loved astronomy, and in California, in Los Angeles, we have the great and only place worth visiting if you're here in California besides Disneyland. It's called Griffith Observatory, and I go there regularly for astronomical events. I like astronomy. You can't use a telescope in Los Angeles. Too much sun, too much lights, too busy, you know. But I gave up telescopes when I was in high school because they're worthless in Los Angeles.
Too much lights. I've got to tell you something, Marcus. You have been very busy. Have you ever been interested in photography?
Yes, all my life. I have a Premier Leica camera. I just bought the Leica Deluxe. I have the Leica T. If anyone that's into cameras should know, the best camera in the world at a price point that far supersedes any other brand except one in the world, it's a Leica. And they have physical.
And that one is Hasselblad, is it?
That's the Hasselblad. That's what I said. There's one other. You know this stuff better than me, really. I just use the product.
It's interesting. Leica stuff is so expensive.
I bought a pre-owned Model T, Leica T Model T.
Because the funny thing is, Nikon makes such great stuff.
Well, so does Fiji, but I have a number of Fiji cameras. But look, I waited a long
Leica
time.
is beautiful. Leica. So you have Leica digital?
I just bought a brand new Leica Deluxe.
How much was that?
It was the least expensive model they have at I'm trying to remember. You tell me, was it $3,000, give or take? Yeah. And I a few years ago I bought what was called the Leica T. That was a very special camera that they made 2 or 3 of and then stopped the lineup. But what it was they were competing with the iPhone. They said, we're going to make a phone that is, we're going to make a camera that is going to hit young people. It's going to be friendly for user-friendly for social media, and they called it the T, and it all had to do with their touch screen and the big screen, and it was solidly ground out of one solid piece of aluminum. It is gorgeous as a camera. And then you buy color wrappers to wrap it so you can have a red one or a yellow one. Anyway, I bought a brand new Leica just the other day from the Leica store in Beverly Hills. When I say the other day, 2 or 3 months ago. I can bring it up next visit if you want to. The other thing I'll tell you is I have...
Are you into boudoir photography?
No, I like to take pictures of people, portraits. I like buildings, animals, and landscape, which is pretty broad, but that's what I like. That's what I take.
You know, I like a bit of photography myself.
Yes.
Can I show you one of my artistic photos?
Please. Look, the boudoir, if there's any, usually some sexy woman likes to send them to me unsolicited. I don't know why I would be taking those pictures.
This is a series I've been working on, okay?
Oh, Archie. That's your photo, black and white, too. You like monochrome?
Yes. That's one. I did a series with this particular lady.
You know, it's hard to tell if that's a truly good picture, but it looks perfectly staged.
Well, I've got the little bit of the blur. That I got the blur for her hands. You see, I've captured.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what I've actually done with this particular individual there is she's also, that's a color one. She collects teddy bears. She collects teddy bears. She collects
Well,
teddy
guess
bears.
what, Archie? I collect teddy bears. I have a whole bunch of them.
Oh, you're joking.
No, I my favorite. I don't. Well, I say collect. I
No,
may have.
that's some of the teddy bears there. And
Oh, I have that one. The one on the far left is the Ralph Lauren. He's not in here.
Actually,
Yeah,
no, these actually, sorry, all of those teddy bears there are actually Harrods teddy
Ralph,
bears.
oh, they're not okay. I don't have a Harrods.
Harrods, you know, the department store in England.
I had to remove them and hide them because my last two dogs think they're their toys. My favorite bear, though.
I love teddy bears. There I am in England with a teddy bear.
I know this about you, Archie.
You know what sort of teddy bear that is?
Well, you're going to say Harrods or Ralph Lauren? I don't know.
No, it's a Steiff.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, I only have a few.
That's
two.
A Steiff. You know who Steiff is, don't you? That's the Leica of teddy bears.
Yeah. Yeah, I know about them. Is that do they allow you to custom make the teddy bear?
Well, that's a Paddington Steiff teddy bear. Paddington Bear Steiff. Rather expensive, I must say. But
you know who gave me my most beautiful teddy bear? Do you know about Tempur-Pedic mattresses? Well, Tempur-Pedic makes teddy bears, and they use their mattress material, which was the official NASA product for astronaut seats. Eventually, it became a bed called Tempur-Pedic. They made bears, and they used the material of their bear, and it makes the bear the softest, most cuddly bear you've ever imagined.
I really do enjoy black and white. Like with these photos here, I've taken them. I like black and white because it gives you more artistic flair.
Yeah, I have some black and white. Let's see if I can
I try and keep the photo classy. I don't want to reveal the lady, but I quite enjoy that type of photography. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to quickly find a nice black and white, but I'm sorry, I can't.
They actually have a Leica camera that only takes black and white, a digital. You know that?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, no, that's an expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah, a little too expensive to have. You know how many Leica cameras can you have? I have two, and I bought also something very interesting. In the last years of film camera, Minolta came out with a film camera that they said was going to put to shame all digitals in the price point. And they called it the Maxim 5. And they loaded this lower cost. They made it a lower cost because they were competing against digital. And they lowered the cost and they packed a lot in there. And it's called the Maxim 5 camera. It is film only. And I will tell you, I have that. And I used it as my primary camera till about 2010 or 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. And it takes magnificent pictures to this day. But, you know, it is film, and we've gotten so used to not having film. Remember the days, Archie? Here's a question. You remember how you had to get the picture right? Because you only had 38. You had to get it right. And you took the shot. You didn't take 6, 12, delete 9. You know, you got it right the first time or the second because you only had a limited ability.
Tell me this, Marcus. It's been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Archie, a black and white. Hold on. I got a black and white from when I was a famous model standing next to Alexis Douglas. Well, wait, where that? Alexis Douglas. And I'm selling that suit, Oscar De Laurenti, Perry Ellis shirt, Perry Ellis tie.
I'm surprised you never got a bit part in Dallas. You know that?
Well, I think I was too young for Dallas, wasn't I? Wasn't a big fan of Dallas. I was watching the Brady
Remington
Bunch.
Steele. Remington Steele with Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, no, I know that. I love Pierce Brosnan. And now that's a classy dude. You should see his wardrobe today.
Here we go. Tusa 4, $5. Mr. Fleischman, would you consider capitalizing on your innate skills and become a male consort for the elderly to garner additional part-time income? You betcha, I would.
A lot of people would. I couldn't do it. I'm just sorry to say I couldn't do it.
Why is that?
Well, that goes to my inability to even have casual relationships with the most beautiful women you would ever meet in the world, unless we have a committed relationship and unless we've gotten to know each other. And that has been my...
When are you going to resolve this sexless status?
Well, it's not sexless. It's full sexless. As I've said, I've been abstinent since 1990. But
does that feel good, being abstinence? Maybe it's a chemical imbalance.
Well, I'm sure it's something, because it's
Have
not...
you been to the doctor?
I get my blood tests, and my testosterone is within the margins of normal, as he tells me. So I think what it is my controlled personality and certain rules I follow to govern my lifestyle. And I think it's not related to desire or lack of desire as much as it is related to controlling my behavior. I can do that. I can pretty much... I'm the kind of guy that if I was a chain smoker, I could stop in a flash. I'm not a chain smoker. I don't smoke. But I can change anything and do anything. And I just choose this, and I set a course, and I do it.
Did you ever see that movie Harold and Maude?
I did.
What did you think of that? That was a vampire sort of movie.
Yeah, the vampire. That was the monster I forgot that that bit my neck in that movie, and I had to tell the truth. It was a great... Aren't we? I think we're nearing the... Archie, next time I wanted to talk about facial products and cologne. So maybe we'll talk about...
You know what? It's funny you say that. One of my customers gave that to me last week.
This is named after the Egyptian god.
That is the most wonderful smell. That used to be so expensive.
Yes.
And now it's an Yves Saint Laurent product, who is one of my absolute favorites.
That's right. Now they make different versions of Caros now. Make sure it's this one in the white bottle. It is the best smelling cologne. I bought it when it first came out, and I have never not had a bottle. The best smelling, and just so everyone understands, I put cologne on when I sleep alone at night to make sure there's a good smell in the room. Me. I don't put it on for...
Pickle, £2. Thoughts on Hasselblad camera? Well, Hasselblad is medium format. So the sensor is bigger than a 35mm or a standard DSLR. So you've got a bigger sensor. That's why they're so bulky. Mm-hmm. They're considered the best in the world by professional photographers. Used Hasselblad cameras. And
my Leica camera is the smallest Leica camera they have ever made.
Medium format is definitely, it's just physics. You're going to get better results, but it's not as so maneuverable. That's the thing. Guys, that is the show for today. I want to thank you for coming on. I also just want to plug a quick service. I actually now offer life advice and help for people. For $50 an hour, I'm available for consultancy. Do you need help with life questions? Dating advice, career advice. So I will bid you goodbye, Marcus. I'm going to run the advert, which is about 5 minutes. I will see you next week, Marcus.
And you're not.
Please, Marcus, watch that. I've sent you the links on that movie.
I'll do it.
3-part series. I'm interested to hear you tell me good, bad, ugly next week. Okay. See you later, guys.
Bye-bye,
Thank
everyone.
you to our super chatters. Pickle, Tursa 4, Not Sir Walter, GB, and Casper. See you next week. Thank you so much. Hi guys, it's Archie Luxury on the Archie Luxury channel. Guys, today I want to plug some of the services that I offer to my audience. Guys, do you need career advice? Do you need relationship advice? Do you need any sort of advice, whether it's relating to wristwatches, your life, your career, your romantic relationship? Guys, I am here to help. That's right, guys. For $50 an hour, I provide consultancy. That's right, guys. I will talk to you and discuss your problems. Guys, $50 an hour. That's right. You might want to ask me about how you should advance your career. You might want to ask me about, should you stay in a relationship? How do you get into a relationship? How to advance your agenda. Guys, I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. $50. If you are at a stumbling block in your life and you want to know how to fix your life, please, guys, I need help with the termites. Guys, $50 an hour. I will give you advice. Anything, career, relationship, watch collecting, how to deal with your family, how to deal with your Filipino or Thai girlfriend. Guys, I'm here to help. $50. PayPal to ArchieLuxury72@gmail.com. That's right, guys. Please, guys, this is a chance to get real advice. And I'm here to help. Here to help. That's right. Here to help you guys. And I just need you to send a PayPal to get the ball rolling, guys. I'm ready to do it now for you. That's right, guys. Here to help. PayPal to ArchieLuxury72@gmail.com. Get it done today. I will ring you and give you the advice that no one will tell you the truth. Guys, I am 53 in October. I have lived life. I've done all the dumb things. I've done some good things. I've done dumb things. Guys, you want to talk to someone with experience? You get Archie Luxury involved. Do it now, fuckers. That's right. Do it now. And guys, if you're looking around at watches, check out rustyswatches.com. See you in the next. Hi, guys. It's Archie Luxury here. Today, guys, I want to share with you a great website that I use to check out watches. That's right, guys. I don't know about you, but I am somebody who wants to keep an eye on prices and see where the market's going. And the best website for this is rustyswatches.com. rustyswatches.com. Now, what it does, if you're in the US, Australia, the UK, Ireland, Canada, it will list recent listings so you can see new watches as they come to market. Not only new listings, but recently price drops. So if you're keeping an eye on the watch of your dreams, Rusty's Watches is the place to go. If you've got a special watch you want and you want to get the best possible deal you can, I'd highly recommend Rusty's Watches. Now he's got some instant buttons. Patek, Breguet, Omega, Rolex, Cartier, to name but a few. Click on Breguet and it shows us recent new listings things for Breguet. Hey, here's one at Watch Finder. Watch Finder has guys, I am doing this advert to deal with my termite problem. That's right, guys. I have a bit of a termite problem. But guys, check out rustyswatches.com. This is the best place to get an idea of the market. Off the market. That's right, guys. Termites confirmed. Yes, this is, check it out, rustyswatches.com. Check it out, guys. I'm ArchieLuxury. Tell me what you guys think of that. Hey, Marcus.